So, hi everyone, and welcome to this podcast. I think we're on episode 39 now. And I just have to always say this because I completely forget because I have a head like a sieve, is please subscribe and pass it around to friends and get them to subscribe too, because the more you listen and you get value from these podcasts, the more you learn, and learning is brilliant and it creates growth, etc. So today I am joined by Louise Lally. I met Louise through a networking group through Pat Slattery during lockdown a little bit and afterwards. Louise is based in Galway, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us what she does. So welcome, Louise, and thanks for taking the time to come on this podcast.
Thanks, Lucy. And I appreciate coming on this lovely morning. And hello to all your listeners. And this is what I do. I was in the retail space for over 14 years. And I've worked in, different, I suppose I've worked with HR, learning and development, and people were always part of what I'd done. And I love the people side of it. What happened with lockdown, I suppose, how the business came about, like most service-based businesses, retail and hospitality, mine was non-essential retail, so I was furloughed. So I was pushed to go and stay at home, and I can't sit still for very long. For anyone that has worked with me or knows me, so I went on a journey. I actually done a coaching qualification, and I'm qualified in HR and training. But I done a coaching qualification. It really opened my eyes up to, I suppose, working with people on a deeper level, and really brought me back to an idea I had back in 2015, which was to set up my own business. And I parked that at the time. I'm a mum. I got a house in between 2015 and pre-COVID. So I suppose what happened was I went on the coaching course for Kingston College, got qualified, and I started actually working with clients one-on-one during COVID virtually, which was great. So it opened up that whole realm. And as I was working with people virtually, I really got a taste for it and I really started to enjoy it. And that continued. I went and went back to work after COVID. And the company I was working for were quite happy for me to run my business and work full time in my regular role. So I continued that until it came to the point where a promotion came up in work, and it was for a regional role for the UK and Irish market, and it was to manage, I suppose, the training side of things. And I really had to make a decision whether I was going to go into this higher role, which would require a lot more of my time, and I wouldn't be able to do my business on the side, or I refused that promotion that I actually was working really hard to get, and go into my business. So I done the hard decision. I decided to not take the promotion, and I decided to hand in my notice and say, do you know what, the universe is telling me here I need to make a decision. I'm sitting on the fence, working both the last while, and it was quite hard working both jobs. Because one, I was working 40 hours a week, and then the 2 days off I was trying to do coaching clients, and then in the evening, which was quite tricky. So I decided to leave, and I went in and set up my business full time. And have I regretted it? No. Has there been ups and downs? 100%. Lots of challenges, lots of days where I'm like, I don't want to get out of the bed, and then days where I'm jumping out of the bed. It's amazing. What I do then, so that's a little bit of a story about, I suppose, how I started the business. I do retail consultancy, retail training, and I work with SME business owners. So I've quite a variety of clients. So I work with spas maybe that want to increase their retail sales with their staff, and they don't really know how to introduce the product. I then have I have two clients that are hair salons. Again, I do some business coaching with the owners, and then give them a little bit of support on the training and development. What I find with a lot of business owners, sole traders, maybe they've only 10 or 15 staff, they don't have a HR department, they don't have someone to support them. Maybe they've opened the business and they don't have a background in processes and procedures. So I come in, I guide them on how to set those up in their business. I support them from a people and processes part. And yeah, just to give them that insight, I suppose, from the different businesses I would have managed. Stores of about 8 to 10 million turnover a year with a staff of 40 plus. So I have that experience. So I go in and I give them that insight and things to put in place, maybe to support them to run the business easier. Because when we have a process in place, it's very easy for us to then see where the issues are. Whereas if we've nothing in place, no structure, it's very hard to see, because then when something goes wrong, we're running around trying to figure out, well, what part of that cog or that wheel where the area is or where the issue is. So a lot of what I do is I mentor with ISME, the Irish Small to Medium Sized Enterprise Association. So I'm on their panel of mentors, and that's largely subsidized. I work with them closely, and I work with a lot of business owners within their group then as well. And yeah, and outside of that, I'm a mum to a boy. He's 15, and he's amazing. I'm very lucky to have him. And I have a little cockapoodle, who's a little dog. She's downstairs barking, and that's about my life summed up. To be honest, I do believe in, I suppose, having hobbies and interests, and I do love going to sea swimming with my sister, and that's something I started this year, which is great, because I think if I didn't start it this year, I would have got really bogged down in my business, and I would have actually ended up, I'm a bit of a workaholic, I'm not going to lie, and anyone that's worked with me in the last 15 years knows the way I am. I work, work. But the sea swimming's been fantastic, switching off and having my sister do it with me has been a great accountability to go, come on, you said you were doing it now at 5, get out. And I'm like, okay, I'm in the car. So it's been brilliant.
Yeah, it is really hard to get that work-life balance going, isn't it? Because I often find myself, I'd be doing something now, like I have a clinic and an online business, so you'd be trying to touch up things or add a little bit more to something. And Amber, I have 3 kids, and so 2 have left home, but 1 at home, and she'd be like, mom. So you really do have to just close it off and leave it and go off and do what you need to do. Yeah, it's very important to get that balance, isn't it, in life?
Oh, so is. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. You know, when you had to make that big decision, because I can imagine, you've got a stable job and financially money is coming in, you know, that whatever, I'm going to say you've got 100 quid coming into the bank every week. I know it's more, but just keep it simple. Suddenly working for yourself, it's hard to do, to keep clients coming in the door.
Yeah. So what I tell anyone is, have a plan. So what actually happened with me in 2020, a previous retail director who used to be my old boss, back in 2015 when I was made redundant and I was going to start my business, that was actually my old boss that was telling me, go do something, you need to get out there, and you want to do more. So what actually happened in 2020, I got coaching with an old boss of mine, and I actually said to her, I really want to actually do this, go on this journey. And it was just an idea that I verbalized out, and she was doing some coaching with me. And when I said it, she said, well, what's the plan? And she said, what would hold you back, Louise, from setting up your business? And I said, well, it's not fear. Well, there is a fear factor, but it was financial. Because I'm a single parent, and I've everything is, I'm the breadwinner. The financial part to me was going to be an area I really needed to feel confident in, that I wouldn't be worrying about money late at night. Now you're going to have that anyways, but I needed to have some sort of a plan. So what I done was, I said, if I leave my role, I need to have cleared at least a loan that I took out. I took out a big enough loan. And I said, if I clear that loan, and I'd done a spreadsheet of how much, went through my, at the time, Ulster Bank, which are closing, went through all of my costs and seen how much I spend every week, how much my direct debits are every month. And I'd done a spreadsheet, a simple Excel spreadsheet, to see how much I needed to pay the bills, to survive, really, to pay for food. And when I done the maths, I said, okay, I need to have at least January, February, March covered. So the 3 months, if I do leave, I need to have those 3 months worth of clients. I need to have that, pretend with salary coming in. And this is the minimum I need to have. Okay. So what I done was I got a contract with ISME, which was fantastic. And I got 3 external clients. Okay. So I had about 6, 7 clients, and that really helped me then over that January, February, March, built my client pipeline. So I had that finance coming in, guaranteed income. So when I left my job in December of that year, I already had that lined up for January, February, March. I didn't know what I was going to do after March. But I had that kind of in place. So that said to me, okay, so I'm not going to be worrying about when I leave in December, panic. Which is what happens, and go, I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get a job. It's just easier to get a job. The money's going to come in. So I had those months covered. Now, what I didn't realize was, and a big learning curve for me, was that I should have in January, February, March been looking at bringing clients in for after that. Okay. So April, April, May, June. Okay. And I think for anyone that was an employee for a number of years, you get very used to work coming at you and dealing with it. And I think I went back into that modem where I had the work. I was busy, January, February, March. Then I was hit with reality that I wasn't really doing anything to bring any in after that. And I really slumped mentally, to be honest. I really was questioning why I was doing it, went really down on a bit of a downer, and didn't have any clients booked in. And I was freaking out. I'm not going to lie. And I talked to my family about it, and they said, look, and I really looked at what have I done to really actually get them in. And when I sat back and looked at it, and I was feeling sorry for myself for the majority of April. But when I really looked at it, I wasn't really doing what I was doing the previous year. I wasn't networking. I wasn't talking to people. I wasn't going out and putting myself out there. And I said, right, okay, I really have to start doing that, because that's how I got those clients. And I thought that once you get a few clients, it lead on to more and more. But that happens gradually over time. And if you're wanting money to consistently come in, you need to be constantly keeping those same habits of networking, showing up all the time. Because with what I do, I don't stay with my clients forever. They go on a 6-week program, they're gone. So there is a turnover there, where it's moving. I can put them on a longer program. But the majority of SME business owners I work with, they hire me because they have a specific problem. And once we fix that specific problem, I'm gone until there's another problem. That's usually how it works in that forte. So that's kind of to sum up a little bit. I suppose when you said it was hard, I've seen the hardness, and it is hard. And you will end up find yourself at 2 a.m. scrolling up jobs because you're going, what in the name of God am I doing? Stressing myself out about money. But then you've to kind of talk, if I look at my own career, it took me a lot of years to build that up and to get to the salary I got to, and to get that credibility and all of that. So me thinking that I can get that in a few months in my own practice, it's not really realistic. And to compare the two, it's not a fair comparison, because I've learned how to operate within that forte of having loads of different departments and getting seen and getting promoted. I need to now use that same skill set in my business by doing what I always done, which is put myself out there and talk to people. And I kind of went into myself because I felt, oh, it's not happening. And when we don't see results quickly enough, we can I don't know, for me, if I don't see the result coming fast enough, I very easy can lose momentum. But I need to kind of check in with myself. And the important part for me was actually meeting other women in business and forming relationships with them. Lucy, has been a huge game changer for me, because when I was really isolated back in April, the thing that really got me out of it was actually joining networks and talking to other women in business. It really helped solidify, I'm not going crazy in my head. Other people go through this, and I can actually have conversations with them about it. So you feel you've other people to talk to, because I wouldn't talk to my family about it. My friends are employees. I don't really talk about it in the home with my son, so I need that outlet, and I got that outlet through those networking groups. So they really did help me without me realizing it, going out and chatting to people on Clubhouse and all these different forums, on virtual meetups, and then having one-to-ones with people and going, oh my God, I'm having such a crap day, and then going, oh my God, I've had a crap month. It's a roller coaster. I can't get any clients. And I'm like, oh my God, and having all these conversations with people, and it really helped. It really did. Yeah.
I know that is true. I know that myself. Sometimes I'd be busy, but then sometimes you look at the diary and you're like, oh, it's not that busy in the next few weeks. And then you're like, oh, yeah, yeah. But then you get the calls. I'm lucky, I'm well established. I've been doing this for 25 years, and you do get the calls, but there are times that you are like, well, what am I going to do? Yeah. And it is networking. You're absolutely right. And I think talking face to face when they actually get to know you as the person, because very different from receiving an email or a text message, because you don't really get across who you are and what you stand for and how you can help the person. So I think networking is important. And also this is just my own experience of being self-employed, it's quite lonely at times when you're working for yourself, and there's no one to bounce ideas off of. Now, I've always worked for myself, so I've never worked, well, I used to work with racehorses, so I was working with people then, but from about 25 onwards, I worked for myself, maybe 24, 25. So there's never, been that bounce the ideas off of, or what do you think of this? So it is hard. It's incredibly hard. But I suppose that's not just about in business. That's anyway in everyday life as well. If you isolate yourself and don't look for help, you can become very internalized and becomes very hard then to actually speak out your words.
Yeah, I can. And it's really interesting. I've a really good friend, and she is an instructional designer. She creates e-learning, and she's been working from home for the past 15 years, loves it. She loves the remote working. I very soon figured out that remote working, I've always worked in teams. I've always worked with groups of people. Anything I was doing, what do you think? Do you think we should do this? Do you think it'll work? Oh my God, I have this idea. Is it nuts? I've always had that. I used to go in, I had always had an assistant manager. We'd buy coffee in the morning, we'd have the chat. I really craved that. So what I ended up doing was a few months ago, I actually went into a co-working space in Galway, Portishead. It's a co-working space, and there's another lady that owns her own cloud accounting company, and 2 days a week we go into this co-working space. I get out of my house and we sit down in the office space, we do our work. But the best part of it is the day one of those 2 days, we spend about 2 hours just talking about what's going on, what's happening, what challenges we have. And we bounce off each other. And because our personalities are very different, and she's in business a lot longer than me, about 10, 15 years, she is that great grounding. Whereas I wouldn't be as grounded at certain aspects. So she'll bring me back and go, but what about this? You said this, are you going to do this? And it's great to have someone like that. And it's been a real game changer for me to have that space to go into, that everyone is, you feel like you're in the work environment. I do anyways. And I do think I'm very much a product of the environment I'm in. When I go into that, I feel more productive. I feel my head is in the game more. And I get that outlet for me to talk and integrate with people, even going to the coffee machine, and there's, tech companies in there and stuff, and we're chatting away. It's lovely. So I do that 2 days a week. And that's been a real help as well, because for me, being at home all the time, it wasn't making me happy inside. And it took me a long time to figure that out, because I was nearly forcing it on myself, going, no, you have to stay at home, you have to do the business. And I was like, no, I'm not happy. I'm happy actually going into a space and sitting in an open space, a co-working space where everyone is like, there's stuff going on and there's energy in the room. So I've loved that. Yeah.
That was really smart of you to realize that. And plus, doing it gives you, because people, we're a herd race. We like other people. We like company. And especially if you've been used to it. I think I wasn't used to having people around me. But then don't forget, I have clients coming to me. So I'm constantly interacting with people. And you learn from your clients. You learn so much information. They could say something, you're like, oh, that's a good idea. You could use that. You do learn from them and stuff like that. So how did you get into the networking? What kind of groups have you joined? Who would you recommend?
So I suppose I was in the junior chambers, and then I got introduced from the junior chambers into the network. Beamy introduced me, Beamy Felix, into the Outstanding Network, which is Pat Slattery's network. So I went into that network, met amazing people. I'd done a great course with Pat, which really helped me set up some of the foundations, really, of kind of thinking, I suppose, strategically about my business as opposed to being an idea in my head. So I done a great mastermind with Pat Slattery. He was fantastic. Met amazing people there as well. That really helped. And I loved those networking, and I done some kind of events where I met some of those people. Then I'm in Network Ireland, which is kind of a women's networking group. So I'm with the one in Galway, the Network Galway group. So I met the lady I'm in the co-working space. I met her through Network Galway. We were both saying how we wanted to get out of the house. She's 2 kids, I have 1 kid. We were just talking, and she said, "Oh my God, I really wanted to." And I said, "Oh my God, so do I." So what ended up happening, we met twice, and then we ended up going into co-working space, and we've been together bouncing off each other since. And then I met another lovely lady to Network Galway. So that's been fantastic. And then I'm in Samantha Kelly's group, which is Women's Inspire Network, which is a great one as well, women. And it just, I've gotten loads of great opportunities from that, from, press releases and articles that I got to write, to radio interviews, to loads of different things. And again, it was going into those networks and talking to people that was really instrumental, I suppose, in that. And then I've supported then, I suppose, in that, given back. So I do run the Women's Inspire Network for Galway, because they were opening chapters, I suppose around Ireland, face to face ones, not just virtual ones. So I do that for the Galway chapter, where any women that want to come and just chat and just even, whatever is going on. So that's been great. I've met women there. Sometimes they come with a problem, and we all group together and we're like, okay, well, how can we help you solve it? And it could be as simple as, did you try this, or did you try that? Or, that happened to me before, this is what I done. So it's really kind of just giving, kind of helping one another, really. And then sometimes it's sitting down and, they could go, I've had a really tough week, and you're going, okay, like, what's going on? And it's confidential. So whatever we talk about in that meetup doesn't go anywhere else. It stays in the meetup, which is really important. And we kind of help one another, and that's been fantastic as well. So I do make a point of going into as many networks as possible, finding the ones that align with me, because I think at the very early days, I was spending hours and hours and hours and hours on Zoom, and because obviously it was COVID and everything was virtual, and I think people have to understand that, find your tribe. Find the tribe that aligns with you. So maybe you go to that network because you really enjoy the individuals in it. Maybe go to that network to learn. So I'm in another network, which is the Professional Speaking Association of Ireland. And I go to that because I want to get better at speaking. So it's very much a learning. And then the people in it, I feel I can learn so much from. They're professional speakers. So I am in different networks, but have a purpose or have a reason why you're in that network. It could be friendships, it could be the people in it make you feel really good, the women in it empower you, whatever that is. But having that is clear, because I kind of burnt out a little bit from doing too much networking, that it really, I was there, but I really wasn't there, if that makes sense. I was a little bit checked out. So finding the ones that really align with you and you enjoy going to and give you energy, and you come away going, I really enjoyed that, I think is important.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's that sense of community, isn't it? It's just
Yes.
it isn't. But I think some people can be quite scared to join a networking group because they can be intimidated by the group that's already formed, and they feel, that it's hard to join.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because I do it once a month, and we just meet in a local kind of coffee shop, and people come. They don't have to be members of the Women's Inspire, they can just come, whoever, on the day. And it's strange, because there's one individual that has come and won't go to other networking groups. But it was funny, the first one I done, there was only two of us there, myself and two other people. And one of the people that was there, they actually liked that it was a really small group, and they felt overwhelmed with the bigger group. So that actually motivated them to want to come more often. So to answer your question, I think when it's a bigger group, I think it is slightly intimidating. The group I've been running now for the last couple of months, but there's about 6 or 7 on average. But to be honest, I don't mind, because the 6 or 7 people that are there, would it be great if I had 20? I don't know, would it have the same impact? Like, I'm open to it, but there's about 7 of us there. And it's great because we've all gotten to know each other better because it's a smaller group. And I think sometimes what ends up happening with the bigger networking groups, we kind of sit in somebody that we kind of know.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is you sit beside the person you know, and everyone else is sitting all around here, and you actually don't get to talk to anybody else because they're all talking to the familiarity piece. We're all comfortable in talking to who we know. But then we walk away and we're like, right, I was sitting beside Mary for 3 hours. Sure, I already know Mary. I haven't met anybody else. Like,
I know.
and then you're kind of going, oh, I should have. So when we do those meetups, I purposely don't actually sit. I move around, or I ask people what's going on with you this week. So I think how you facilitate it sometimes, because sometimes when we meet up, everyone kind of is just left to their own devices. But I think if you can facilitate it in a way, okay, guys, we're going to get Lucy to talk about her business today. Lucy, how are you getting on your business this week? Oh my God, do you want to have a chat over there, and get people up, get them moving around, but nearly facilitate that a little bit, that it makes it easier for people to have those introductions or those conversations. So I think that's really important because, like you said, it doesn't come easy to a lot of people. It doesn't. And there's one lady that's been working, she's been a sole trader for, I think, was it 15 years, longer than 15 years. And she really struggles with networking. And it was amazing to see her grow in the last few months because the only networking group she attends is the one that I run. But she's come to every single one of the meetups. Nobody else had, like, every single one of them. And she said, the reason I come is because I go away and I've learned something. And it was really nice. We had a meetup there 2 weeks ago, and she's actually now traveling around the country networking for her business. And to see how far she's come from when we met way back in the beginning of the summer, it was just really nice. It was a confidence thing. It goes back to that thing of, finding your flow when you are networking, finding, how do I get it going? Getting those kind of and it's just repetition. It's the how we, doing it again and doing it again, and then it becomes nearly not scary anymore because we've done it a few times and we've overcome those thoughts that were, clouding us and holding us back to begin with.
It's true, actually, isn't it? It's the fear of not being good enough, or the
Yeah,
fear of not being, failing at this meeting, which is in our heads, no one else's, because
yeah,
everyone else probably feels the exact same, which
yeah.
is crazy. So tell me, like, you do coaching, right? So I do coaching as well, and it's very powerful tool to have. But people are, they are in fear of hiring a coach, a business coach, or a life coach, or a relationship coach, or whatever, health coach, whatever you need. How would you encourage people to take that journey?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's a really great question. I see coaching as it's a coach really holds up the mirror to yourself in a place where you maybe can't see that yourself. And clarity is the biggest one that I see that I've gotten out of coaching personally, and that people I work with have gotten out of it. I think for people that haven't tried it, I think you need to try it before you diss it. You know what I mean? We need to try it before we say we don't like it. I think it is its own journey. I think sometimes people get coaching mixed up with mentoring, mixed up with training, mixed up with therapy. They're all very different entities. So I do mentoring, and if I'm mentoring somebody, um, and I think it comes back to understanding what it is. If I'm mentoring a business owner and if they've come to me for coaching, I'm very clear in that session. I'm putting on my mentoring hat because I'm actually telling you what to do now. So, with mentoring and with consulting, it's very prescriptive. So I'm telling you, you need to put this process in place to protect your business, to protect your people, to have those processes set up. And it's prescriptive. When we look at coaching, it's me not giving you the answer. Okay. I'm not going to give you the answer in coaching. What I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to let you look inside yourself. And because when you're coaching someone, as a coach, I come with the perspective that my client has the answers, and I use tools. It could be, different tools. We have the CIA model, the values model, whatever that is, all those different models that we have in coaching that we use and we take out of our toolkit to work with our clients. Those, again, it's coming back to with the coaching, that if anyone does want to do coaching, you are going to have to do that work. That it's not the case that you're going to come to a coach and we're going to tell you what to do. And it is very much the client needs to be very clear in that they're going to be doing the majority of the work. I'm going to ask those great questions. I'm going to support along the way. But I think that's really important, because in order for you to get the most out of that, you have to invest in yourself. And coaching is very much you are doing that deeper work on yourself, looking at that self-awareness, your habits. Why are you reacting that way? Are you choosing to react or respond? What's going on in your life? How are you accountable for that? Are you accountable for that? So all of these different areas, they really come from self-reflection, looking at yourself, asking yourself those hard questions, and really, putting action. Coaching is action orientated. We don't live in the past, it's future focused. Therapy is past focused. We look at the past, we look at the trauma, we work in that area for a long time, and we delve into that. Coaching, we look, things might have happened and we might discuss them, but it's very future focused. So we look at what action can we attain to move you forward to achieve that goal. So if you are wanting to go into coaching, you need to be clear on what it is you want to get out of the coaching. Okay, because if you go to a coach and you're like, okay, I want you to make my life better, I don't know what it is, I'm not happy, whatever that, we can have those discovery sessions, but you need to have the awareness that you're going in, you're going to work towards something, but you will be working towards that, and you need to invest that in yourself. And I think what happens with a lot of coaches is at the beginning, they're not clear on that with the client, that we want to solve all the problems, that we want to give all the answers, because a lot of coaches have a lot of empathy, they have high levels of empathy. So what happens is when they're in that dynamic, they want to give, but the client isn't doing the work. But what happens with the coaches, they overgive, because what they're doing is they're doing their work and the coachee's work. And what ends up happening is the coachee is never moving forward. We think they are, because we're having these but where's those conversations leading to? So it's really important that we have an action at the end, a call to action at the end, the end of that call, or that face-to-face meetup with the coach or with the coachee. So I think, and I do coaching supervision with the college, and I talk about challenges I have in my practice, and I talk to master coaches and ask them, am I approaching this the right way? And we use that forum to see, well, how am I? Because when you're a coach, you are working, you don't have anyone, I don't have a boss, I don't have anyone that's giving me feedback. So I do need to have that supervision, and I need to give scenarios. If this is what I had, a challenge I had with a client, and I get that real-time feedback to improve myself as a coach, and to get my perspective on, what could I have done differently with that client? What should I do really well on? But what could I do differently on? And I do log every call I have with a client. I log, did I bring any of my own things into that? And I answer those questions. Did I bring any of my own biases? Did I bring anything I thought that they needed to hear, but I wasn't hearing what they were hearing? So again, always checking in at the end of those, coaching sessions as a coach. How did I show up for my client today? Did I bring in the right tool? Did I work with the right tool with them? Could I have used another tool? So by constantly having that kind of that review process, that feedback, you grow as a coach in your practice, and you better serve your clients. But going back to what you said, they have to show up and want to do the work. And anyone I work with, I have a coaching contract, and it's really clear in that contract that you have to show up and you have to be willing to do the work. And if there's in any way they're not doing I could give them maybe a document to do, or an exercise to do before the next session. If they're not doing that, I get them to revisit that commitment they made to themselves, and giving them that, putting that back out there, that accountability piece on what they really need to be working on. And because a big part of that coaching relationship is that accountability of oneself.
It's true. That's a really brilliant answer. It is so true. It is about, coaches shouldn't tell you what to do. And I like the fact that you explained mentoring, counseling, and coaching, because it does get, you know, a bit confused.
Yeah, for people don't understand. Yeah,
Yeah, it
what it is.
really does. There's, you know, there's a difference between them all. And again, I suppose a little bit in my clinic, I would do some mentoring because I'm telling them foods to eat, you know, advice on sleeping, but then we do coaching as well on where they find their own path for the future, where they need to be. So your coach shouldn't tell you what to do. You're right. It's a very good definition between the two.
Mm.
Actually, that's brilliant. I like that. I do that a little bit with my clients, yeah, because you do get that confusion. And counseling is about healing past traumas,
Yeah.
yeah, or psychotherapy or psychology. You know, there's a need for that as well. But I think there's the need for coaching. I really do. I think it's amazing. So, you know, coaching came from my understanding of this is, you know, like from coaches training players or you to do a sport, and they were trying to get you to do the best in your next game. They would analyze it and go, okay, if you try it this way or do this, then it might work better for you. So yeah, that's the way I would look at it. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's the way I would
Yeah.
look at coaching.
Yeah, no, championing their coachee. That's what we do. We champion them. And you know, again, you know, there's a great one that I sometimes work with leadership teams on, and it's a strength-based coaching approach. So, you know, we catch people doing the right things at the right time. We look at people's strengths. We don't look for an all-rounder. So, you know, if you have someone in your business and maybe they're not very outgoing, maybe they're not very extroverted, maybe they're introverted, asking them to be on front of house in a hotel and greeting all the guests when they come in, or having them at the front of a shop greeting customers, that's not an area of strength for them because they don't actually enjoy it. They're not good at it. But what's going to happen to them and demotivate them is if you're a leader of that business, you're pushing them, well, you have to do that, you know, this is part of our company ethos. But you know, maybe they were better served, maybe they do live the brand values, maybe they're better served in an operational role where they're in the back and they're looking at the stock room, or they're organizing things in the hotel and the paperwork. Maybe they'd be fantastic at that. So really great coaching is you look at that individual, what is their skill set? What are they really strong at? What do they enjoy doing? And you really look to do more of that, you know, do more of that thing, because that'll bring you up to where you need to go. And none of this, okay, we're going to make you now be better at this. And I think a lot of workplaces do that. They want the person to be great at everything, and because maybe they're short staffed, maybe they want to get as much as they can, and they put people into those positions they don't enjoy. They're wondering then why they're having to do, you know, performance development plans, or the person is quitting and leaving because they're unhappy doing it, but then they want them to do that particular thing because, you know, and I think it really comes back to what you said there, coaching. When we use that in the right place, the right way, we empower people. That's what coaching is. It empowers people, you know, and it empowers them to look within themselves to what resources they have that they can leverage in order to move them forward. And we have that. We have all the answers. Majority of us have the answers there. What we've done is bit buried underneath all of that other stuff that's going on a day-to-day basis. You know, we have a crazy amount of thoughts. Like, is it 80,000 thoughts we have in a day or something like that? 60 to 80,000 thoughts we have in a single day. We're a human being. We're processing so much content, so much information that, you know, that gets very muddled. And that's where, you know, having someone ask you that right question, it can be so powerful because it can make you then go into that a little bit deeper and go, oh my goodness, I can't believe I actually said that. And you get those great aha moments where people go, oh my God, I can't believe I've just said that, you know. And I had someone at the weekend who I met with, and she said, I cannot believe the whole time I haven't been selling my online courses. And I said, why? And she said, well, my book is full for my consultancy business, and I'm just not getting my courses online sold. And I said, well, when your phone is ringing, you said all the time. So when you answer the phone, at what point during that conversation do you actually introduce your online courses? Oh, I don't. And I said, why? And she said, but that's selling. And I said, but you're selling yourself by talking about your consultancy and your in-person training. And the penny dropped, basically. The penny dropped by me asking, but why? And how do you do this? And why do you do this? And what's great about that is that it makes the person question, has their actions led them up to the result they have. And when they really think about it, I actually, they then see, okay, it did, so I have, and it's that realization and connecting our actions to our thoughts, because sometimes they can be very disconnected. We can think we want to do something, we can have the best will in the world, but the action we're doing is actually getting in the way of us actually doing what it is we want to do. So it's asking those questions. And that's exactly what happened with that person. She wasn't connecting, she was disconnecting, but in her head, she was doing the best she could. She actually was about to hire a sales manager to actually sell those programs in her business, a really successful business. And I said to her afterwards, I said, do you need to hire the sales manager, or do you need to look at how you answer the phones? So it was really interesting. Yeah. So so you have those kind of moments where you're like, oh my God, and I think that's what's great about coaching.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. And I do feel that lady's pain as well, because I think when they're coming to you and they're spending money on a consultant's fee, you kind of feel like, oh, I can't ask them to buy their course as well. But
You're not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly what she said to me. Her answer, what you said there, I said, what's the real problem here? She said, I've been running my business for 17 years, really successful. She said, and she said, when I'm selling the online courses, because I'm not doing physical work, I'm not doing something, I feel I'm not giving them that same level as when I'm working with them. So she doesn't attach an action, because the online courses are already done, they're pre-made. So that's again going back to what her perception of that is. There's something attached to that she won't sell it to. So it was understanding what that attachment was. And that attachment was that, I need to sell, and I don't feel I'm giving them enough, or I feel I'm being a salesperson by giving them this. And I'm not the salesperson when I'm working with them one-on-one, but I am when I'm doing this. So it's understanding that a little bit better. Yeah.
It's very interesting. Louise, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours about this. We'll have to have another conversation, but I want to say, how can people get hold of you if they want to avail of your services?
Yeah, so I'm very active on LinkedIn, Louise Lally, if you look me up. I'm on TikTok, Louise Lally, I have my YouTube channel, Louise Lally. I've been on podcasts, Louise Lally Podcast, LinkedIn, and louiselалlybusinesscoaching.com is the website. But reach out to me, I'm contactable. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so drop me a DM and I'll chat.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for being an amazing guest. And thanks to everyone for listening.
Thanks.